I'm Vicki Hogarth, and welcome to Southwest Magazine. My guest today is the MP for New Brunswick Southwest, John Williamson. Thank you so much, John, for sitting down with me again today.
It's my pleasure. It's the Victoria Long Weekend, so the unofficial start of summer.
Oh my gosh, it feels like it here in St. Andrews today. It definitely kicks off with a bang. Everything's open again. I understand you were on Deer Island today, though, at the Capsule Restaurant.
I was. This is a great time to start getting out for the season. There's so much of this region has to offer people, and for folks that kind of want to come down to Charlotte County or New Brunswick Southwest, there's just so many destinations now. You know, whether they're on the mainland or one of the islands, it's just a great time to get around, and the weather's getting better and better, and it will all summer. So very, very excited.
You've been also very busy back in Ottawa. I want to talk to you about being chair of public accounts and your work on the ArriveCAN app and getting the story behind what happened and why it cost taxpayers so much money. What is the latest on that?
So we have been having a lot of hearings on the ArriveCAN because when the Auditor General tabled her report in February of this year, she reported that an app that was supposed to cost $80,000 or was budgeted $80,000 ended up coming in at $60 million, 750 times the original estimate. Now, look, sometimes expenses go up, but this seems to be an amount that not only is eye-popping, can't be explained. She found that all the rules in the book were broken. Records weren't kept in terms of why the cost became what it is today. And that $60 million is the minimum amount. The auditor had to give up adding up the cost because the documents just weren't there. In addition, the terms of her office don't allow her to audit some of the professional consultants that were used to build this. This is the outsourcing. And under the terms of her reference, she can look at what the government has done. But when the public servants haven't kept records, she's not able to report about what's happened. So the committee I chair, Public Accounts, has taken upon itself to call in some of the big accounting firms, the big consulting firms, well, big and small. We've been bringing them all in to get answers here. And at the end of the day, sadly, we're discovering that nobody in the public service seems to be willing to take responsibility for this, what I'm going to call a cultural breakdown of rules and norms that we need to ensure tax dollars are well spent. The federal government, despite increasing the number of public servants over the last couple of years by 100,000 people, is also spending billions of dollars more every year on consultants, private consultants. It's hit $21 billion a year now. So, and that money can't be accounted for or audited by the federal government. So what my committee is trying to do is kind of get us back to basics. Like let's have a professional public service that is doing the work that Canadians expect at a better cost than turning to consultants all the time, and also one that we can then go and check. The auditor can check to see, well, how are you doing? Are you actually meeting your deliverables? Are you coming in on budget? Are the programs that the federal government is spending on and focusing on, are they achieving results? And so, you know, I do think from the federal government we're seeing a response to this. We hear every couple of weeks the federal government's putting in, this is the Liberal government now, putting in rules to ensure this doesn't happen again. But it's, for a lot of taxpayers, it's very worrisome that we've spent so much money and there's no accountability around it.
Wow.
So our work is continuing. It's and what comes next, though, this I liken ArriveCAN to kind of the tip of the iceberg. It's one program. The auditor is working on a report that will come in early June, looking at these professional consultants, all the outsourcing, to try to determine if taxpayers are getting value for money. Because look, I think everyone agrees there are some things that public servants can't do, so they'll want to turn to the outside and get an expert opinion. But that should not be the default. That should not be the default, that everything they do is outsourced. And as well, where the system is really broken, we need to fix this. And I think it will be fixed, is that so much of the outsourcing was by firms that didn't actually do any of the work. They won the contract, they then subcontracted it out and took a commission of between 15 and 30% for no work at all. and that's one reason why I think the cost just ballooned. There was too much of that going on, and not enough work either done in-house or turning to the people that could do it and having them do it. It seemed to be a lot of fees that were being charged, and a bit of a revolving door going on between government and consultants.
And what do you think Canadians should expect to see? So 60 million just on the app itself, and then consulting, you said, was how many?
That's all part of it.
Okay.
So okay, the app was 60 million. That's everything to design, build, the fees, and everything. But consulting government-wide is over $21 billion a year by the federal government. That's a huge amount of money, and it's unfortunately gone up every single year. So I think we just need to start getting back to basis. And so the committee has been doing a lot of work to try to lasso this and make recommendations that will see the federal government do that. Now, we make recommendations, we can apply pressure, and I think we've been getting a lot of good news stories about what's happened there. At the end of the day, it's going to be up to the federal government to either change the system or not to. Right now, the Liberals are the government. They will make those changes or they're not. As Conservatives, when the next election is called, I'm sure we're going to have a platform that's going to address both the use of outside consultants and as well a high number of bureaucrats at the same time. Like, pick or choose. If we need, it can't be both. It can't be a massive increase in public servants and then also outsourcing so much work. It doesn't make any sense from a taxpayer perspective.
And 21 billion a year. Is there a way for Canadians to have a breakdown of exactly what that means, or is it just consulting?
Well, I mean, it's consulting throughout the government. I mean, some projects are multi-million, others are smaller, but that's the figure throughout government that departments engage in to do work. Look, a good amount of it is justified, but increasingly, look, when you got a small firm called GC Strategies at the heart of the ArriveCAN. 2 people. They run their business out of a basement somewhere in Ottawa. They do no IT work. They received, I think it was $20 million for ArriveCAN. They then subcontracted, and they weren't subcontracting out to individuals. In some cases, they were subcontracted out to firms like KPMG, which has a direct relation with the government. So we're wondering, why didn't KPMG get the contract instead of giving it to GC Strategies, which then took on average 21% commission? They don't do any IT work, just to basically push paper around. That needs to stop. And I think it's if the Liberals don't move to stop it, then I think the Conservatives will, should we win the next election.
When it comes to GC Strategies winning that contract, did they have competition? What do we know about that?
Great question. Again, this is where the system broke down. Not only did they win contracts where there was no competition. We've even discovered this again where the rules broke down, which makes this truly a scandal, that GC Strategy was working with the federal officials on what should be in the contract. And the rules stipulate that if an outside firm is brought in to provide the parameters for the work, so it's done professionally, they then must recuse themselves. They cannot get the work. But not in this case, not only did they get the work, there was no competition. They were assigned the work. So basically, from our perspective, it looks like they set the conditions up so they would get the contract. And again, tens of millions of dollars paid to this company. They take it in consulting fees, and someone else does the work. It's completely unacceptable.
I think it's interesting because at the time of ArriveCAN, all Canadians, all of us were paying attention to it at that moment.
Yeah.
In the time of COVID, we weren't distracted by other things.
That's right. And now the cost is coming due. And we realized that not only was there, I think, fleecing going on from some consultants, but the federal government just failed to do its job. And there are two departments that are, or 3 departments that are really responsible. There's the health agency, which was in the middle of kind of the organizing of the app. There was the border agency, which was involved, and then procurement Canada, and they all failed to do their job and protect tax dollars and ensure the work was done and accountable for.
I mean, you mentioned 100,000 more public servants being added across the country. This comes at a time where unions are pushing against the idea of government workers going back to the office. We're not feeling that as much in New Brunswick. I know that though when you're in a bigger city, I was in Gatineau this past year, and walking around 4:30 it was quite dead. To see a city that used to be more vibrant be dead at 4:30 it hits you hard. And I recently was visiting Montreal, and a friend of mine said that a lot of the restaurants are hurting downtown just because it's the ripple effect of all these people working from home now. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Well, and just another perspective, in Ontario, we've had Premier Doug Ford, he's been to Ottawa to implore workers to get back to work because it's hollowing out the city core. It's making it very difficult for people that run businesses to survive. I don't represent an area like that, so I don't have that kind of skin in the game. I just want to see the federal government work for Canadians. It's not working right now. And whether that is because of work from home or management, I don't know. At the end of the day, I think when Canadians contact the federal government for a pension issue, a tax issue, an immigration issue, they should be able to get a response. But I know from my office work that's not happening. I have people now coming in with visa questions and immigration questions, and they're telling us that immigration services has told them to come see their member of parliament. Well, I have nothing to do with immigration services. I'm not part of the government. This, I think, is an abdication of their duties and responsibilities. Similarly with CRA, we're getting more people coming in who aren't able to get answers from the tax authority. So I want to see a federal government that's delivering the services to Canadians that we expect for a good price. And when I see that under Justin Trudeau, the number of civil servants has increased by $100,000, yet the work output has declined, that's a problem. It needs to be corrected.
Mm-hmm. Another topic I wanted to talk to you about was this May has been this grassroots movement across Canada. It's a boycott Loblaws movement. There was even a steal from Loblaw's day that it was very controversial, but it speaks to a larger issue, which is grocery prices in Canada, lack of competition when it comes to Loblaws, Walmart, and the like. What do you think going forward will come of this movement, and shouldn't the Competition Bureau be more engaged in this? It's really, when it comes to the consumer boycotting, I mean, that really should be the last resort.
Yeah, well, I think that's it. And it's hard to boycott food providers because families need food every day. There's no doubt that Canadians are suffering. The price of food has gone up $700 for a typical family this year versus last year, and so there's a real problem here. Now, I think we've seen too much consolidation in the food services industry, but as well, let's not excuse or overlook the role of the government. And we have a federal government that is increasing the cost of food inputs. There's the carbon tax, which is on not only the farmer, but the truckers that deliver the food, and then of course just the cost of keeping food chilled in the food store as well, higher energy bills. What we're calling for is not only should we win the election to eliminate the carbon tax to bring down the price of food, but we also point to the Liberal government's inflation spending. We know that the spending that's coming out of Ottawa, the overspending, is driving up inflation as well, making prices more expensive. And this has to be brought into control to bring interest rates down as well, to give consumers a break. And so what we're calling for right now, this is a broader answer to your question, is that we want to see the federal government give a pause on the carbon tax for the on fuel for motorists as we enter into the summer driving season. If we take the federal tax off gasoline, along with the carbon tax, along with the HST, that would save motorists 40 cents a liter during the summer months, so they can enjoy the summer. You mentioned I was just on Deer Island. I stopped to speak to Paul, who sells the Mercury ice cream. I said, how's it going? He says, well, he needs two things. He needs warm weather to sell ice cream, and he needs people to come to Deer Island. But if gas prices are so high that people aren't able to get down to Deer Island, it's not only affecting his community, it's going to affect New Brunswick and our tourist industry. So the food is just one component. I'm not trying to dodge your question. I think Justin Trudeau has made Canada unaffordable, and we need to get back to the basics. And it doesn't help to be raising the carbon tax every year on farmers and truckers. In fact, we have a bill before Parliament right now, C-234. It passed the House, it went to the Senate, the Liberals amended it, it's come back to us. But if we were to pass this bill, it would take the carbon tax off farm inputs. Right now, farmers, every time they have to pay more for energy, more in tax, that gets passed on to food prices. So we have a government that every year raises taxes. We want to take that tax off to make it more affordable to live in Canada. To go back to a Canada where families can afford to feed themselves. We have 2 million Canadians now going to food banks every year, and that is because work has gotten, the work and salaries and the pay is not keeping up with food inflation, and we need to fix that.
Carbon tax obviously a factor in food prices, but do you think that the Competition Bureau should be doing more if things like Loblaws are so protected in Canada?
Well, I think the Competition Bureau can only do so much. They can report on it. I think the food companies are under tremendous pressure to bring down food prices. I want to see them do that as well. I'm all for Competition Bureau doing more, but that's not going to fix a problem. We have a government that is doing everything they can to make life more expensive for Canadians.
So what is it exactly for summer months that the Conservatives are proposing in terms of...
Let me be clear. We want to take the carbon tax off permanently, and that will happen should we win the next election. Right now, starting immediately, we think the federal government should take off the taxes on motor fuel, price of the pumps. There is a 10-cent per liter federal levy. The carbon tax is another 18 cents. HST is on all of that. There's the carbon tax too. The total Atlantic Canada will be about 40 cents a liter, which coincidentally is about the price differential today I noticed between southern New Brunswick and the state of Maine after the foreign exchange difference. So let's just give motorists a break so families can maybe feel like they can get across this country for the summer months and driving is not so expensive.
I'm switching gears to another heavy subject again, which is drugs, which we're seeing a rise in, especially, in Charlotte County, I think because we're such a small area where we know each other, we definitely see the rise in it in a lot of our communities. What do you think about some of the flip-flops recently in terms of legislation that was passed in BC, legislation that's considered in parts of Toronto to decriminalize even just holding or public use of very hard drugs?
These were the wrong decisions from the get-go. A number of years ago, the NDP government in British Columbia with the Trudeau Liberals decided to decriminalize some of the hardest drugs out there. Meth, crack cocaine, you name it. And it was thought by progressives that this would be a positive development for areas where drug use has become a problem. Instead, what has happened, the number of deaths and overdose has just shot up. As well, communities have become less safe. There's now open drug use. So for example, under this policy, if someone is arrested by the police and eventually let out on bail, when they're freed, they're given their wallet back, their belt, their cell phone, and if they had crack cocaine, that's returned to them as well. There was no way for the police to crack down on open drug use, which is now spread into parks, playgrounds, and even as we're reading now in reports, in hospitals as well. This is a system that is broken. The NDP is going to the polls in British Columbia this fall, so I think they've realized this is a loser with the public, because the public can see that not only is the drug problem not getting any better, the crime is getting worse, and communities are less safe. So the Liberals delayed and dragged their feet, and we've been pressuring them to abandon the policy. They finally did. Toronto, under left-wing Olivia Chow, wanted to pursue a similar policy. Doug Ford opposed that loudly, and late on Friday night, the Liberals said they would not allow it to go ahead. Now this is odd, because normally when you have something bad to say, you bury it Friday night on a long weekend. Why the Liberals chose to announce this late Friday is beyond me. I think because they think it's a mistake to go down this way. So Justin Trudeau is lining this up today, but if he wins another term, there's going to be more of this decriminalization of hard drugs. Montreal is also eyeing this failed policy as well. And again, Trudeau will not say one way or the other if he approves it or does not. These are bad policies that have not worked. We see in the U.S. that jurisdictions that have gone down this path are also reversing them because it doesn't provide any treatment or relief for people who are addicted. And that's where the government needs to put its emphasis, which is when people have a drug addiction, it's not to treat them like criminals, it's to provide them resources and incentive to seek treatment. But the system in British Columbia and elsewhere has been just to give away drug paraphernalia, not to allow the police to prevent it from happening in public areas. Our streets become less safe, and it's resulted in more death and more chaos in our streets.
And so complex at the time that we're living in because we're looking at fentanyl being laced in so many things.
That's right.
And meth creating, I was talking with Diane Kern at Avenue B, and she said New Brunswick didn't have as bad a meth problem until the pandemic when borders were closed and drugs didn't flow as freely. And that's when meth really began to rise here because you can make it anywhere.
That's right.
And it's cheap, and it's not really a drug that you can do recreationally without it becoming
a problem. No, that's right. And look, and this is where it twins with the police not being able to arrest and then prosecutors being able to put drug dealers behind bars. We have a system now which is soft on dealers and drug makers, and we need to get back to a system that holds people accountable. Again, we need to treat people that are addicted with compassion, but we have to, I think, go after some of the drug dealers and get them off the streets and behind bars where they belong and take it much more seriously. Hard recreational drug use destroys lives, and for government to be complicit in expanding it is a huge mistake.
I know we're talking more on a federal level, but you're seeing it obviously locally in our own community. What's the solution here?
Well, I think again, it is treatment, it is resources, but it is not sending the message to drug users and dealers that there's no consequences for open drug use and for selling hard drugs, and people have to be held accountable, and drug dealers need to be arrested, and we cannot have a system that allows for both light sentences or quick and easy parole.
We have just about a minute left, so I'm going to pivot so ungracefully from crime and drug use.
We have a lot to cover, so it's quite all right. I'm sure we'll
what you're
understand.
looking forward to. What's on your plate in the weeks ahead, and what are you looking forward to this summer?
So we have 5 weeks to go until the summer recess. This is the wildest time in Parliament because the government will want to get its legislation through. So I could expect a lot of late nights, plus we have committee work that's going. I mentioned the auditor's upcoming report as well, which will, I think, add to the workload. But this is also a great time of the year to be home, getting around. The sun sets very late, so I can head out, and even if I'm on the road late, fortunately, there's still a lot of light at night. And then summer, it's a question of just kind of getting around the riding, as you and your viewers that watch the show know. The riding is going to be changing the next election. I'm gaining West St. John as well as Burton, east of Fredericton. So there's new territory to begin to get to know and begin to explore. Having said that, the riding has not changed. I still represent all of it now, and there's work to do there as well. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I know you were just at the Capsule, but if you have a new restaurant to try, I recommend Pura the Polish Potato in St. Stephen.
I've heard that from my St. Stephen office team as well, that it's good. And that's the challenge, is that I visited Mercury today. I know there's CC's on Deer Island. There's lots of great places here. I mean, throughout the entire district. So I try to promote one, and when I get back, I have to promote the others as well, and I'll keep doing that all summer.
Everything's open now.
That's right, and it's all open now. Look, this is the best time to be living in New Brunswick. I mean, we're blessed throughout the year. This year we had a nice mild winter, but for the next 4 months, this is just heaven on earth as all our products just become available, the farm products, the seafood products, and everything else. So it's a great time to enjoy, and I hope everyone does enjoy the summer months here.
Well, I appreciate you coming in today. I'm sure I'll have you back in the summer months again, and I will see you Canada Day weekend at the very least, the very next time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Vicki.
My guest today has been the MP for New Brunswick Southwest, John Williamson. I'm Vicki Hogarth. Thank you for watching Southwest Magazine.
Southwest Magazine is a news and public affairs production of CHCO Television.